Welcome back to the DBI. Letting everybody get in the building that wants to join the stream tonight. While I'm doing that, I want to hold up a flyer. Good, you can see it. That There we go. That's Sierra Chapman. She's out of Dayton, Ohio, and I'll give you some specifics on her. She's 5'5", 115 pounds. Um, she's 30 years old. She has black hair and brown eyes. Sierra Chapman was last seen in the early morning hours of Tuesday, December 27th, leaving her apartment of her ex-boyfriend in Trotwood, Ohio. Sierra was driving her silver 2014 Cadillac SRX SUV, Ohio plates JVQ 8612, when she left her apartment. When she left that apartment, the vehicle was recovered in Middletown, Ohio, on Friday, January 6th, but Miss Chapman was nowhere to be found. Sierra's purse and other personal items were located inside her vehicle. Her disappearance at this time is considered suspicious. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Sierra Chapman, please contact the Dayton Police at 937-333-2677 or 937-222-STOP. One more time, Sierra Chapman. There we go. Like I said, welcome back to the DBI, and Houston is on fire. That's our topic tonight. You saw the thumbnail. I mean, Houston is absolutely a city right now that is on fire. That's why my thumbnail says, Houston, we got a problem. So we want to talk about some of the things that are going on in Houston. I don't think I've ever recalled that a city having so many large cases and big things going on in one city at one time. There's another case I haven't even mentioned to you or put up on the screen. You see the Felecia Johnson case. We're going to talk about her in just a moment. And then you see the two inmates that are killed in the Houston jail. The federal authorities, we're going to talk about that, have taken over the case. And then we'll talk about Takeoff and the whole Jay Prince saga. But there's another case going on in Houston with the AJ Armstrong. And AJ Armstrong is being tried for the third time, capital murder charges for allegedly, everything on this show is alleged. We use the word alleged, and the fair use is in effect. When the fair use is in effect on my video tonight. And I'm laughing because all the YouTubers know that when you discuss these kind of topics with people coming up in these brand names, fair use is in effect. Fair use that is in full effect tonight. It was alleged that AJ Armstrong killed his parents, but they have him on trial for the third time for capital murder. That's going on in Houston right now. And if you, some of you may recall, I believe AJ Armstrong's father played in the NFL. If I'm correct on that, if anybody knows, if you can Google it or find out, you can put it in the chat. Let me know if I'm right. I'll also drop the link to the chat later on for anybody that wants to come up on the show. But I want to get into our content a little bit tonight, and I want to start with the inmates in jail being killed in Houston jail in Harris County. And it is almost unbelievable the numbers that I'm going to talk to you about tonight. We're going to go over. But um, let me give you a little backdrop before I get into some of the numbers of what the federal authorities are looking at and why they have taken over the investigation. Now, I had a ran into a little snag. I wanted to be able to share my screen with you, but I'm going to have to get with somebody to show me what's going on technical, because before the live started, I was in the back office the whole time trying to get my screen shared because I prepared all these receipts for you to see all this stuff. So I have to shift gears. So bear with me. I'm going to use another YouTube trick that I saw another YouTuber use when he or she kind of ran into that problem. But I want you to hear a piece of the story.
That Janelle Spur now faces manslaughter charges. Janelle Luda joining us now with the details. Janelle. Yeah, well, it's been nearly 2 years since this happened. Initially, there was an investigation, and 11 officers were fired, 6 others suspended, but now one is charged. 23.
Okay, if you couldn't hear, I wanted you to hear what happened was 11 officers were originally suspended, and then one of them ended up being charged for the murder of an inmate that was inside. That's one of the inmates, but there ended up being two. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these are the two that the federal authorities are looking into. When we go over the numbers and I show you the numbers, it's staggering. But here's the article. FBI launches civil rights investigation into two inmate deaths at Houston jail. The Federal Bureau of Investigations announced Monday that it had opened civil rights investigations into two inmates' death at Harris County Jail in Houston, Texas. FBI said it will review the February 2021 death of Ja'Cory Simmons. That's what we just heard a little bit of the article on, and the January death of Jacoby Pillow. These investigations will be fair, they will be thorough, they will be impartial, and will proceed independently of any state investigation involving any incidents at the jail, said the FBI in a statement Monday. Now, I'm just going to hold up on the article there because if you can kind of listen through to what they're saying is, Houston, we have a problem. The federal authorities are taking over the investigation into the deaths of inmates that are being held to go to trial for crimes by law enforcement officers. So what we have going on here, ladies and gentlemen, is that Harris County Jail has such a problem with inmates coming up dead in their custody, in their care, that an outside agency has to come in, take over the investigation so that it's not corrupted. That's where it's going to come up a lot tonight, corrupted. And I had more receipts for you because the mayor and the chief of police, they're not off the hook. The mayor and the chief of police are all through this. I mean, I did some investigation and some digging into a few things that connect up with all of this, and I may tell you some of it tonight. We'll see how the live goes and how much I'm willing to share. But there is so much corruption running through Houston right now, ladies and gentlemen. You won't believe it. Um, and it's tied to the stuff that's going on the board behind me, the corruption that's going on at very high levels. So the FBI said they're taking over. Then they brought in Ben Crump. Ben Crump has brought his team in. I'm just kind of speeding us up through the article a little bit. So now Ben Crump came in. He's representing these two families, and so they have a special investigator that they have from his office that is also involved in looking into the Harris County and why so many inmates are dying. There's a lady that came forward, and you can look at some of the articles. There's a lady that came forward already who used to be a worker inside the Harris County Jail. And she's testifying to the inhumane treatment of the inmates, how that they're been beaten, stripped, left in their cells with no clothes for hours on to days at a time, no food. This is the law enforcement. These are the people we're entrusting to enforce the law. And this is what's going on in the Harris County. So Harris County has seen an uptick in jail deaths over the last 2 years. So far, this year, there have been 4 such deaths. In 2022, watch this, there were 27 jail deaths. This is inside Harris County. 2021, there were 21 deaths. These numbers, ladies and gentlemen, are staggering, that this many inmates would be turning up dead inside the jail, inside law enforcement custody. So I'm really glad that Ben Crump and the Department of Justice, the DOJ, and the FBI are all looking into the situation here because the authority, the sheriff can't be trusted. I mean, look what's been happening on the sheriff's watch. Look how many people are already dead. So you can't go to the sheriff's department, it's corrupted. You go to jail, you may not come back. I think it's Ja'Cory Simmons. He was in there with $100 bond, was about to get out in a week, and he turns up dead. His family's distraught. They want answers. They don't understand. Same thing with Jacoby Pillow's family. They want answers. They don't understand. One of these families, I don't know which one it is, the uncle had an uncle that passed away in that same jail just weeks before the nephew. One of them is the nephew of another man that passed. So they have two family members that passed in one family in that same jail. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is just absolutely absurd. The corruption that's going on at that level in Houston. I mean, the law enforcement, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. I mean, you be careful when you go down to Houston. Don't go to jail. You know, some of you young partiers go down to Houston and you get drunk and go to jail and you think you're just going for the night to go to detox and whatever and get out OR the next day, and you may not make it out of the Harris County Jail because that's what's going on. That is exactly what's going on. So I hope they get to the bottom of what's going on in the Harris County Jail situation. Again, you feel powerless when it's the authorities and the people that are in charge, and they have the badge, they have the authority, and they have the gun, and they make the rules. They're telling people what to do. People feel absolutely powerless, and and they got to clean up the act across the law enforcement in America. I mean, we all see what's going on. We see the treachery of what's already been dealing with the Tyree Nichols and the fallout of that situation. Memphis is another city like Houston on fire. It has a whole bunch of episodes like the ones that we're discussing going on. So that's the two inmates. Federal FBI, again, in short, FBI have taken over the investigation, looking into the deaths of the latest two inmates. And I imagine that once the FBI gets involved, they're going to flip the whole file. You know how they do. They're going to go back and they're going to find some other murders that happened inside the Harris County Jail. So that is that on the two inmates. But to Felecia Johnson, the Felecia Johnson update. And let me kind of give a backdrop to some of you that don't know the Felecia Johnson story. Felecia Johnson is a young lady that went missing last year, and she went missing out of California, but she was in Houston. She's from California, but she was in Houston on a vacation, and she was there on a vacation celebrating her birthday and looking into job opportunities like some people do. And one thing I want to say, because I look for missing people. Whenever someone comes up missing, Felecia Johnson was missing for a period in time. It does not matter, first off, what the background or what that person is allegedly involved in, or what they were doing, or who they were seeing, or what you think. And that the fact of the matter is, when people come up missing, we have to find them as fast as possible, because even if they went missing on their own volition and their own will, many times it's not the people that go missing on their own will. That's not the problem. It's when they get out there into the world, all kinds of things happen to people once they're missing, once they go missing on their own will, once they walk out of a door, once they leave a facility, once they run away from home, once they leave a safe haven. That's what happens to missing people. And so We got all kind of once again coming back to law enforcement. We have law enforcement has problems when it comes to black females, and especially when it comes to black females that are involved in any kind of sex work or any kind of thing like that. And they think anything like that may be involved, or it may be connected to the case, or it almost gives them a right not to properly investigate it or to take it seriously. That's what happens in the cases of a lot of black females in America that come up missing, which once point again is one of the reasons why we have our channel, the DBI, Darin Barbour Investigates, because we look into missing people. And we don't just look into missing people, but we primarily look into missing black females because they're not in the headlines. That's why. It makes no sense for me to look into something that's already on the headlines. The Idaho case had 60 FBI agents on it. I keep saying this, so that was 4 bodies, 15 FBI agents per case. So we have all these other cases that you never hear about. And so Felecia Johnson's case finally got some notoriety after a period of time. But she was missing for a period of time. And then the stories that came out at first were all wrong. They had Felecia Johnson going to a nightclub, reporting for a job, and then she came up missing from the nightclub. And then, of course, she left with someone who was a customer from the nightclub. And then we get to chasing our tails with all these other stories. And then you come to find out the real story was that over social media, she had made a connection with a man. And the man, when she was in Houston, she made a connection with the man over social media. And so the man, he convinced her through a conversation, and the conversation is not detailed. And I want to say shout out to 54 Keys, who is another blogger. I don't shout out many bloggers or call them out, but I like 54 Keys. She's very thorough, and she brings you up to speed on any case that you may not have properly or thoroughly investigated or been on at the beginning. But 54 Keys is someone I listen to and I follow on her channel, and she's a very good blogger. If you like crime stories, shout out to 54 Keys. You should go subscribe to her channel, and you should follow her movement. But anyway, she helped get me up to speed on a lot of the information on the Felecia Johnson case. So Felecia Johnson made a connection over social media with this guy. And so through a conversation that involved $500 that was to be exchanged. And it did not state what that was for, but you can do the math and fill in the blanks. So he says he sends an Uber for her. And when he sends an Uber for her, he gives the address to where he wants the Uber to go, which turns out to be a former apartment of his, not his current apartment. So what he does is gets in his car and arrives at his old apartment, which he no longer lives in, but has this Uber that he has sent for her to bring her to this apartment. And then he picks her up from there and then in turn takes her to a second location. Now I'm going to pause right there for just a second on this case, because for your safety and for anybody who's listening or catching this live later, for your safety, if someone's trying to kidnap you, grab you, take you from against your will, never let them take you from one location to the second location. When someone takes you from one location, the odds, once they take you from one location to the second location, the odds drop tremendously for your survival, almost to nil, to nothing. So you absolutely cannot allow someone to take you, transport you to a second place or against your will. And so he met her at his abandoned or former, I won't say abandoned, his former apartment that he no longer lived at, and transported her to his new apartment. And he is absolutely a monster. And I wish I would have been able to share my page with you so I could show you the pictures of this guy. His name, it's a non-American name. It's an African name. His name is, I'm going to attempt to pronounce it, is Chuck Wubuku. Yeah, it's Chuck Wubuku Nuwabado. Nuwabado. That's pretty much how the announcer said it. And when I tell you this guy's an absolute monster, if you can look up the story some more, and it'll have pictures to it, and you'll be able to really follow it more and to see him. I'm talking about an absolute monster because some of the details of he only had her in the apartment less than an hour. So something went really wrong when he was in the apartment because he was seen, his car was seen leaving back out of the apartment in less than an hour once they arrived to the second location. So at that point, he was going to start his crime cleanup already. And so because he made a number of trips of going to a park, dropping off some of her articles, then going to a local Home Depot, getting cleanup items for his kill kit, and goes as far as getting things to dismember, get salts, get rubber gloves. I mean, this guy's an absolute monster, and they're still looking for him. So, you know, ladies, you have to be careful. He's such a monster that when they got his phone, they found 3 other pictures of dead women, the women that were already deceased. So they very well may be dealing with a serial killer in this, once again, Chuck Wubako Nuwabado. And I really wish I could hang this punk's picture up. I really wish I could just pull this punk's picture up and show him to you. And so you could get a real good feel of who and what he is. So they found pictures of other dead women on his phone. And then he had Googled how to become a serial killer. This is all, after they have found pretty much after the murder. So they recently, and I was going to show you an article, the father of this young lady, and rest in peace to Felecia Johnson, if she is passed and if this is her, but her father says that they're pretty sure that this is her, that they found remains. The authorities have alerted them that they have found the remains outside in a forested area in Houston, Texas. So just, a shout out to that family, and prayers out to their family. This is tremendously hard, even going through this and having to miss and just having to wonder if this is her and having to go through this. So I'm hoping that their family stays strong, that you all will remember them in your prayers, and that you'll be kind to them, and that you'll pray for them, and that people say stupid stuff in the links and in the chats. Some people are dumb. How many people are just absolutely dumb? You have nothing to do, and you need to figure out something to do. Some of the things that some of you people say are insensitive. And the same thing goes for some of the authorities that, handle these cases in certain cases, not in the same light that they handle other cases. That's a total shame, but I hope that at some point, Felecia Johnson's family can get some closure, and so if these remains are the remains of Felecia Johnson, then I hope that helps them to be able to start moving on with their lives, because this has just been an absolute nightmare. And I hope the authorities hunt this dog down. There ought to be a reward. I didn't see anything in the notes posted about a reward posted on his head. So maybe we can tie some of the next case, since there's so much money floating around. Some people have money, so much money that they don't know what to do with it. Well, we could put a reward out for this Chuck. Let me get his name again. Y'all know I have to look at it to be able to say it. Chuck Wubako Nwabado. Wubado. They need to put $100,000 reward on his head to find him and to bring him into justice and to bring him in because it's absolutely unacceptable and inhumane um, what the DNA says that he did to Felecia Johnson. Rest in peace to Felecia Johnson. If those remains are hers. But again, I'm only reporting the story that her father is believing. And probably to the last story now, to what most of you are tuning in for, because we're talking about Houston having a problem. Houston being a city on fire. Houston being a city with absolute chaos and disorder and problems everywhere. Um, the chief of police, his name is Troy Finner. And Troy Finner, and the mayor's name is Sylvester. Oh, what's Sylvester's last name? Just a moment, sure. So I want to get this for you. I don't know his name. Sylvester. I want to call his name for sure for you because he's an interesting character. And Sylvester Turner. That's his name. Sylvester Turner is the mayor of Houston, and the chief of police, Troy Finner. And so all of this stuff that we're talking about is going on those two gentlemen's watch. I mean, these are elected officials that we're discussing. And the last case we're getting into is that of there we go. There we go. Is that young man behind me by the name of Kershnik Kari Uriah Ball. Get my big head out of the way so you can see him. That's him in the middle with the glasses on. So they call him Takeoff. He's one of the three Migos. And we're here kind of just discussing this case. And if you didn't know, he was killed at a bowling alley, outside a bowling alley in Houston. Again, what are we talking about tonight? Houston being a city that's on fire. Houston being in total chaos. So we're talking about Takeoff's murder happening in pretty much outside the bowling alley, downtown Houston, at a party, a private event being held by none other than Jay Prince Jr., who is all the way behind me in the white jacket, the biggest person on the screen. There you go. That's Jay Prince Sr. Move out the way so you can see him. There you go. That's Jay Prince Sr. Also on the screen with his hand on his chin. That's his dad. So we got this big saga going on around Takeoff's murder. But anyway, Takeoff was killed outside the bowling alley in Houston. And I don't know if I want to show you this. And I hope you can hear it.
Man who's there, the night rapper Takeoff was murdered in Houston, appearing in court, charging with having a gun he was not supposed to have. Killer Joshua is not facing charges. The most significant event we've seen so far in this case, which is now nearly a month old.
ABC 13's Maya Shea is live at Green Street downtown, where Takeoff was killed. That's the latest on what's still
Okay. Now I just wanted to show you that because you got a glimpse of the young man named Cameron Johnson the night Takeoff was killed. Now, I don't know what's going on, but what we do is we look into cases, and this is one that people have been pushing us to look at. And I saw the films, and I actually watched the night it came out. I happened to be up on the internet, and I still question to this day because I saw the film somewhere in the early hours of the morning, but TMZ had the film so fast that I didn't know that they must have had some TMZ representative, employee / agent on the scene because there was film coming in the wee hours of the morning very quickly, and it was already cut, edited, and some other things. And I just showed you a film of a young man named Cameron Johnson, little Cameron Johnson, little, they call him Little Cam, who's not been charged at all yet in this Takeoff murder. And there's another guy I'll show you who has been charged, and they call him DJ Pat. And I had all these receipts for you in that non-screen sharing, but the devil's a liar. I'm gonna get my screen sharing fixed so you can really see what's going on. But DJ Pat is actually charged with Takeoff's murder now. But the guy Cameron Johnson, the reason I showed you that is because you heard this news clip say he was picked up for having a gun that night at the bowling alley. Well, if you saw the original films, you saw that he had the gun out that night at the bowling alley, standing next to Takeoff at point blank range, right at the beginning of the altercation. Okay. I'm going to rewind and say what I said again to make sure everybody caught it. The news clip told you that he was charged with having a gun the night Takeoff was killed. If you saw the original clip, he was right up on Takeoff, right at the end or the beginning of the altercation. That's where they saw the gun out. Now, they're saying he didn't fire a gun. They're saying two other people fired a gun. DJ Pat, who's charged with killing Takeoff, and Willie Bland, who they also call Migo Band. They're saying those were the only two people shooting. And saying that DJ Pat shot Takeoff. And Takeoff was shot twice. One of the things I want to know, and that I haven't seen any of the bloggers talk about, nobody asked, was there any gun stipulation for Takeoff? That's one of the things they have to find out. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if Little Cam shot Takeoff, he shot him at point blank range, and there's going to be gun stipulation all on him. There's going to be gun and powder burns all on him, all on Takeoff. So that there would tell a lot of the tale of the tape, whether or not DJ Pat from the other side of the room shot Takeoff. There's something mysterious going on. The tape has been all cut up. There's something very mysterious going on in this case. And the reason I brought up the mayor and the reason I brought up the chief of police is because a lot of the mysteriousness is going around or going along around them. There's a phone call floating around of the being made. Somebody made a phone call, and I'm not going to say who made the phone call because I watched it live. I'll tell you this, there's a certain YouTuber that made a phone call, and he made the phone call to the chief of police ex-wife, or the chief of police then wife. It's not his ex-wife, because she told him we're still married. She said that in the conversation. And he asked some questions because he told her that he was somebody else. He asked her some questions that clearly implicated that there's something else going on that we don't know about. She asked the chief of police, did he know the princess, the host of the party? What kind of relationship, and if he had extra relationships with them or private relationships with them? We're talking about the chief of police. What's going on down in Houston? What's going on down with the investigation into Takeoff? I know one thing, the feds are in town. Everybody down in Houston better know the feds are in town. That's what everybody better know. They're in your jail already. They're already in the Houston jail. That means there's federal agents crawling all over the city. Some of us don't get on here. You don't know how this works. There are federal agents crawling all over the city of Houston right now. They're downtown having lunch. They're in unmarked cars. They're in plain clothes. They're going in and out of local bars. They got young guys looking like street guys going to strip clubs. The feds are crawling all over Houston because there's corruption involved. It took them over a month before they even arrested anybody in Takeoff's death when it was all on camera. Everybody was there. They act like they couldn't find the 30 people that were on camera to go question them. Absolute absurd. The investigations that are going on in Houston. Absolutely absurd. The law enforcement that's being put forth for these cases. I mean, is it because Takeoff's a black rapper? Does his life not matter? I mean, after all, I mean, they were nominated for a Grammy. I mean, some of you that tuned in, you may not follow or may not know who they were or who Takeoff was, but he's part of a group that's nominated for a Grammy, aka the Beatles of hip hop. 30 people are there, and the police couldn't find the people to question them. And it took them over a month when they had video footage in 3D. Come on, y'all. See, the reason this stuff keeps happening is because we keep allowing and keep settling and keep accepting these raunchy investigations, and we accept these raunchy answers. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a family member that's been murdered or that's missing or has to be involved with law enforcement in any way, you need to get involved and ask questions and be forthcoming and be thorough and be upright and talk to these people. Don't be afraid to go in, ask questions, ring their phone off the hook. Almost on every investigation on these missing people on our channel, I end up calling the police. If I'm looking at the case and I do anything more than a flyer on it, I'll end up calling the investigator to ask questions. Hey, update me on the case. Can you tell us where they are? How many search parties have you had already for the person? Have there been ground crews? I mean, have they looked in outland? What are they looking inland? Do they think she's been in the city, out of the city? You ask these people questions. A lot of us are afraid to talk to law enforcement, talking to the police. Listen, I'm too old for that. I talk to the police. If you don't want to talk to police, get off my channel. Get off my channel. I'm trying to bring people home. I'm trying to solve missing people and raunchy homicides. Tonight I'm talking about Houston. That involves Takeoff's homicide. That's what it is. You know, all these guys running around talking about you the police and you doing this. You the police too. All of them the police. Every rapper in the game's the police. Every one of them gets in their song and tell what you're doing. So shut up with that. Get off my channel. We trying to save lives over here. Y'all trying to take lives. You're on the wrong side. I'm on the light side over here. I'm not on that demon time over here. I'm on some angel time. It'll be a different kind of situation. I'm not playing about that. They blew this boy's brains out. And his mom and his family have to deal with that. That boy got his brains blown out in front of all those people. And then partying with him, taking pictures with him. And I'm gonna tell you somebody else who hadn't said a word, was standing right next to Takeoff when it happened. Shakur Stevenson, the boxer, allegedly. It's not alleged. Go look it up. He's standing right next to him. And they're all playing the no snitching, no telling game. I look a little younger than I am. I'm from that school where, listen, I'm from the era where they charged all of us. If you were with people, I don't know how they doing something new now, allowing guys to be there and be a part of something and then not charge them. Back when we was younger and really in the streets, everybody would have got charged with that. Everybody that was in concert, all of them that was in concert or had anything to do, you would have got charged. Takeoff's murder is one more stain on Houston. Houston has a price, another stain. They've charged one person, and then if you talk to a lot of those good people in Houston, there's a lot of great people in Houston. By the way, I have family in Houston, and it's a shame that they're subject to this and subject to people running around with guns or not being held accountable. And this is Takeoff's like the second murder. I got to put my glasses on because I missed one of the notes. Listen, Houston so bad. If you rap, don't go to Houston. Or if you rap, you need to get out of Houston. Listen to this. Within the last year, 4 different known people of hip hop, either a rapper or somebody connected to hip hop. I'm not talking about people that just rap. These are known people connected to hip hop have been killed in Houston. Here they are. Some of you who are hip hop fans, you may know. I have pictures for you. Snooty Wild. LaPreston Porter is his real name. He was killed on 2/26 of 22. Actually, he was killed 2 days after. The next person I'm going to name is Destiny Govan, who many of you know is Lotta Cash Desto, which is another interesting story that's connected. Her dad, Lotta Cash Desto's dad, right now is indicted on the murder of Young Dolph, the conspiracy of the murder of Young Dolph out of Memphis. So a lot of Cash Destos from Memphis was living in Houston, and she was followed. Some car was in front of them at a stoplight, and guys jumped out with a semi-automatic while they was at the stop sign. Just jumped out and started gunning them down. Jumped back in the cars and pulled off. And they killed a lot of Cash Desto right there in Houston. Snooty Wild that I mentioned with Preston Porter. And rest in peace to these young people. These are young people with lives. You know, that's why I like to call their names Destiny Govan and LaPreston Porter, because these are real people. Y'all know them. Y'all know these characters. See, these characters can be invented, and those characters can be put to sleep. But these people, LaPreston Porter has a mother. He has family. Destiny Govan has family. So both of them died in Houston. And LaPreston Porter's case, I don't believe they've arrested anyone yet. It's another kind of case that has some twists and turns and not understanding really what happened. But it's in Houston, so unsolved. That's what they do. And then, of course, we mentioned Takeoff, Kirshnick, Kari, Uriah Ball. And then the next person is Duke the Jeweler. Duke the Jeweler was killed a day after a dice game in Houston. Takeoff was killed the night after he didn't participate in the dice game, but he was killed after a dice game that night in Houston. Now, Jay Prince didn't host Jay Prince Jr. did not host the game that Duke the Jeweler went to the night before. He was at that game. He was gambling right next to him. So they did participate in the same game, but Duke the Jeweler was killed in Houston after a Boosie party. And so there's a lot of people that implicated Boosie. I mean, you know, that's an accusation. And they go around throwing accusations on people, and then they have to defend those accusations, you know, even though, you know, there's once again strange movement around that whole situation with Duke the Jeweler. But Duke the Jeweler was killed in Houston. Rest in peace to Duke the Jeweler. Takeoff killed in Houston. Rest in peace, Takeoff. Snooty Wild killed in Houston. Rest in peace, Snooty Wild. And Lotta Cash Desto killed in Houston. Rest in peace, Lotta Cash Desto. I mean, Troy Finner, Sylvester, y'all have some explaining to do. Y'all have your hands full. Y'all need to get these cases wrapped up. Houston is a city that has a problem right now. I mean, it is on fire. So, I'm doing this live. I did this video because I want to tell you, if you're going down to Houston, you need to stay strapped up. You need to check your gun laws, your protection laws, and you need to make sure that you stay protected. Houston's a city with a problem. Guys are running around with guns, trying to stick up multimillionaires. We got, maniacs trying to take young ladies off the street and butcher them up and carve them up, and they can't find the guy. And then when they do catch somebody, they take people to jail and they kill them. Come on, Houston. Got to do better. Got to do better. You got to get to the bottom of the Takeoff situation. There's more to the Takeoff situation than just DJ Pat. There's more to it than that. We need Houston to get to the bottom of the situation. We need them to find Nuba Waddle. You need to get on the trail. Y'all need to find that killer. Y'all need to get him behind bars. And it's a shame that we got inmates getting killed for little or nothing, and then you got a guy running the streets that's a maniac, and we can't get him in custody who deserves to be killed. Things all backwards. Got all backwards. I'm hoping that Troy Finner and Sylvester Turner. I'm hoping that y'all get a chance to watch my live. I'm hoping your officers get a chance to check out my video. And sometimes what we don't like is our best correction. You need to clean it up. I want to thank you for tuning in to the DBI tonight. I want to thank you for your support. You can always cash at me if you want to support the channel. That is Cash App Darin. Also, go like, share, and subscribe to the video. Share the live before you tune out. Go share it with somebody. If you share the live, then I'll get more views. Then I can get in the algorithm. I'm going to be doing more lives and digging into more of these situations in the future. But I'm going to figure out how to get my screen the way I want it so I can bring in all my receipts. God bless y'all. Y'all have a good night.